The moment I saw John's eyes light up as he gazed at Sarah, I knew my world was about to shatter. There I stood, frozen in the doorway of our bedroom, watching my husband of 15 years caress the face of a woman young enough to be his daughter. "Emma," John exclaimed, jumping back from Sarah as if burned. I didn't expect you home so early." I gripped the door frame, steadying myself. "Clearly," I managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. Sarah, to her credit, looked mortified. She grabbed her purse and scurried past me, muttering a weak "I'm sorry" as she fled down the stairs. John approached me, his hands raised in surrender. "Emma, honey, let me explain." "Explain?" I cut him off, finding my voice. "Explain how you're throwing away our marriage for someone half your age." "It's not like that," he pleaded. "Sarah and I, we just connected. You and I, we've been drifting apart for years." I felt a surge of anger. "Drifting apart? Is that what you call it, when I've been working double shifts at the hospital to support us while you mope about losing your medical license?" John's face darkened. "That's not fair, Emma. You know how hard it's been for me. And this is your solution?" I gestured to the rumpled bed. "To cheat on me?" "I didn't mean for it to happen," he said, his voice softening. "But Emma, be realistic. We're different people now. You're almost 40 and you what, John?" I challenged, daring him to finish that sentence. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I want a family, Emma. Children. And we both know that's not possible with you." His words hit me like a physical blow. I stumbled backward, tears welling in my eyes. "Get out," I whispered. "Emma, please, get out!" I shouted, my voice echoing through our once happy home. As John grabbed his keys and left, I sank to the floor, my world crumbling around me. How had we come to this? And more importantly, where do I go from here? The days following John's betrayal blurred together in a haze of tears and sleepless nights. I threw myself into my work at the hospital, desperate for any distraction from the pain gnawing at my heart. One particularly grueling shift, I found myself in the break room, staring blankly at my coffee when Sarah walked in. My stomach churned at the sight of her. "Emma," she said softly, her eyes wide with surprise and guilt. I'm so sorry." I gripped my mug tighter, willing myself not to react. "Save it, Sarah. I don't want to hear it." She stepped closer, wringing her hands. "Please, you have to understand. John and it wasn't planned. We just connected," I spat, echoing John's words. "Tell me, Sarah, did you connect before or after you knew he was married?" Sarah flinched. "I know it was wrong, but what?" I interrupted, my voice rising. "But you're young and fertile, and that makes it okay?" Tears welled in Sarah's eyes. "Emma, I'm pregnant." The words hit me like a physical blow. I stumbled back, my coffee mug slipping from my hands and shattering on the floor. "What did you say?" I whispered, praying I'd heard wrong. Sarah's hand moved instinctively to her stomach. "I'm carrying John's baby. I thought you should know." The room spun around me. I gripped the counter to steady myself, my knuckles turning white. "Get out," I managed to choke out. "Emma, please, get out!" I shouted, not caring who heard. As Sarah fled, I sank to the floor, surrounded by spilled coffee and broken ceramic. My colleagues rushed in, alarmed by the commotion, but their voices faded to a distant hum. In that moment, surrounded by the wreckage of my life, I made a decision. John Thomas had taken everything from me. Now it was time for me to take it all back. I stood in our once-shared bedroom, packing the last of my belongings. The divorce papers lay signed on the dresser, a stark reminder of how quickly life can change. As I zipped up my suitcase, John burst through the door, his face flushed with anger. "You can't do this, Emma," he snarled. "You're trying to ruin me." I took a deep breath, steeling myself. "I'm only asking for what's fair, John. Half of our assets and spousal support. You're the one who threw away our marriage." He laughed bitterly. "Fair? You want to talk about fair? I lost my medical license because of you." "Because of me?" I gasped, incredulous. "You lost your license because you were drinking on the job, John. That's on you, not me." John's eyes narrowed. "My family won't let you get away with this. We have connections, Emma. You'll never work as a nurse in this town again." A chill ran down my spine, but I refused to let him see me falter. "Is that a threat?" "It's a promise," he spat. "You want a war? You've got one." As he stormed out, I sank onto the bed, my hands shaking. I knew John's family had influence, but would they really go that far? My phone buzzed with a text from the hospital director. "Emma, we need to talk. Come see me first thing tomorrow." My heart sank. John's threats weren't empty after all. I'd dedicated my life to nursing, and now it was all slipping away because of his spite. Tears stung my eyes, but I blinked them back. I wouldn't let John or his family break me. If they wanted a fight, they'd get one. I might lose my job, my reputation, even my home, but I'd be damned if I'd lose my dignity. I picked up my suitcase, took one last look at the room that held so many memories, and walked out. It was time to start a new chapter, no matter how uncertain the future looked. The familiar scent of Mom's apple pie greeted me as I stepped into my childhood home. After months of battling rumors and stress in the city, the simplicity of rural life felt like a balm to my wounded spirit. "Emma, honey," Mom said, wrapping me in a warm embrace. "We're so glad you're here." Dad appeared in the doorway, his eyes filled with concern. "How are you holding up?" "Sweetheart," I managed a weak smile. "I'm surviving." As we sat around the kitchen table, the weight of recent events crashed over me. "I lost everything, Mom," I whispered, tears welling up. "My marriage, my career. John's family made sure I couldn't work as a nurse anywhere in the city." Dad's fist clenched. "That no-good son of a—" "Larry," Mom chided gently, then turned to me. "Emma, you haven't lost everything. You have us, and you have your strength." I nodded, grateful for their support. I don't know what to do next." Mom reached across the table, squeezing my hand. "Why don't you stay here for a while? Clear your head? Figure things out?" The idea was tempting, but a part of me rebelled against retreating entirely. "I can't just hide away forever." "Of course not," Dad agreed. "But you need time to regroup. And in the meantime, why not take a job at the supermarket? It's not nursing, but it's honest work." I considered his suggestion. It wasn't the life I'd imagined for myself, but maybe this step back was exactly what I needed. "Okay," I said finally. "I'll do it." As I settled into my old room that night, I overheard my parents talking downstairs. "I'm worried about her, Susan," Dad said. "She's been through so much." "Emma's stronger than she knows," Mom replied. "This is just a detour, not the end of her journey." Lying in bed, I clung to Mom's words like a lifeline. This wasn't the end. It was a new beginning. And somehow, someway, I'd find my way back to the life I was meant to live. 6 months into my new life, I was restocking shelves at the supermarket when a deep voice startled me. "Excuse me, where can I find the coffee filters?" I turned to find myself face to face with a tall, distinguished-looking man. His kind eyes crinkled at the corners as he smiled. "Aisle 3, I replied, returning his smile. "I can show you if you'd like." As we walked, he introduced himself. "I'm Alex Thompson, just moved to town." "Emma Daniels," I said. "Welcome to our little corner of the world." We chatted easily, and I found myself drawn to his warmth and humor. As he was leaving, he hesitated. "Emma, I know this might be forward, but would you like to grab coffee sometime?" My heart raced, but fear gripped me. I'm flattered, but I'm not sure I'm ready for that." Alex nodded understandingly. "No pressure. The offer stands if you change your mind." That night, I couldn't stop thinking about Alex. The next morning, I was surprised to see him back at the store. "I forgot the filters again," he said sheepishly. I laughed, feeling a spark I thought had died with my marriage to John. But as Alex and I talked, my phone buzzed with a text from John. "I want to reconcile. Give us another chance." My world tilted. John wanted me back? After everything he'd done? "Emma?" Alex's concerned voice brought me back to the present. "Are you okay?" I stared at my phone, then at Alex's kind face. In that moment, I realized I was standing at a crossroads. I could retreat into the familiar pain of my past with John, or I could take a chance on a new beginning with Alex. My hands shaking, I made my decision. I deleted John's message and turned to Alex with a smile. "About that coffee. I'd love to." As we walked out of the store together, I felt a glimmer of hope I hadn't experienced in years. Maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something beautiful. I stared at the pregnancy test in disbelief, my hands trembling. 2 pink lines. At 48 years old, I was pregnant. "Alex," I called out, my voice barely above a whisper. He appeared in the doorway, concern etched on his face. "Emma, what's wrong?" I held up the test, tear welling in my eyes. We're pregnant." Alex's eyes widened, then a smile spread across his face. He rushed to embrace me, his joy palpable. "Oh, Emma, this is wonderful," but as he held me, doubt crept in. "Alex, I'm 48. The risks." He pulled back, cupping my face in his hands. "We'll face them together, every step of the way." The next few months were a whirlwind of doctor's appointments and preparations. Despite the high-risk nature of my pregnancy, everything seemed to be progressing well. Until it wasn't. At 6 months, I woke up in excruciating pain. "Alex!" I cried out, clutching my stomach. The rush to the hospital was a blur. As I was wheeled into the emergency room, I caught sight of a familiar face. John. My ex-husband was there, working as a temporary doctor. Our eyes met, and I saw a mix of shock and something else. Was it concern? Flash across his face. "Emma," he said, approaching cautiously. Before I could respond, another wave of pain hit me. The medical team sprang into action, John included. "We need to perform an emergency C-section," I heard someone say. Panic gripped me. It was too early. As they prepared me for surgery, I locked eyes with Alex, who had been allowed to stay by my side. "Alex, if something happens, if you have to choose." He squeezed my hand, his voice firm. "Nothing's going to happen. You're both going to be fine." As the anesthesia took hold, I saw John and Alex exchange a tense look, my past and present colliding at the most critical moment of my life. Then everything faded to black. I awoke to gentle beeping of monitors, my body aching but alive. Alex's face swam into view, his eyes red-rimmed but smiling. "Emma," he whispered, squeezing my hand, "you did it. Our daughter's perfect." Relief washed over me, but before I could respond, a commotion erupted outside my room. John's voice, angry and loud, carried through the door. "I have every right to be here. I was part of the surgical team." The door burst open, and John stormed in, his face a mask of fury. "How dare you, Emma? Having a child at your age, it's irresponsible and selfish." Alex stood protectively between us. "That's enough, John. Get out." But John was relentless. "You're putting your life and that child's at risk. You were never fit to be a mother." His words cut deep, reopening old wounds. Tears stung my eyes as I struggled to sit up. "John, please." "No," he shouted. "You couldn't give me children, and now you risk everything for him." He gestured wildly at Alex. The monitors began beeping frantically as my heart rate spiked. A nurse rushed in, assessing the situation. "Sir, you need to leave," she said firmly to John. As security arrived to escort him out, John's parting words echoed in the room. "You'll regret this, Emma. Mark my words." The door slammed shut, leaving a deafening silence. I collapsed back onto the pillows, overwhelmed by pain and emotion. Alex turned to me, his face etched with concern. "Emma, I'm so sorry. I'll make sure he never comes near you again." But John's words haunted me. Had I been selfish? Was I putting our daughter at risk? As if sensing my turmoil, a tiny cry came from the bassinet beside my bed. Alex gently lifted our daughter, placing her in my arms. Looking down at her perfect face, I made a decision. No matter what challenges lay ahead, I would face them head-on. For her. For us. "It's okay, little one," I whispered. "Mommy's here, and I'm not going anywhere." The hospital director's stern voice echoed through the room. "Dr. Thomas, your behavior is unacceptable. You're fired, effective immediately." John's face contorted with rage. "You can't do this. I'm a respected physician." "Was," the director corrected. "Your actions today have cost you that respect." As security escorted John out, his eyes locked with mine. For a moment, I saw the man I once loved, now consumed by bitterness and regret. Alex squeezed my hand. "It's over, Emma. He can't hurt you anymore." But John's parting words haunted me. "This isn't the end, Emma. You'll regret this." Days passed, and we prepared to take our daughter Amanda home. As Alex packed the car, I cradled Amanda, marveling at her tiny fingers. Suddenly, John appeared in the doorway, his eyes wild. "Emma, please, let me explain." Before I could respond, Alex was there, standing protectively in front of us. "Leave, John, or I'll press charges." John's shoulders slumped. I'm sorry for everything." With that, he turned and walked away, out of our lives for good. As we drove home, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. "Alex," I said softly, "thank you for standing by me through all of this." He smiled, taking my hand. "Always, Emma. You and Amanda are my world." Looking at our daughter sleeping peacefully in her car seat, I realized something profound. The journey that brought me here, the pain, the struggles, the triumphs, had all been worth it. "You know," I mused, "I used to think John took everything from me. But now I see he gave me the greatest gift of all, the strength to find true happiness." Alex squeezed my hand. "And you deserve every bit of it." As we pulled into our driveway, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. This was home, this was family, this was love, and no matter what challenges lay ahead, I knew we'd face them together, stronger than ever.